We're continuing this conversation about the different types of, at least the main types of deadlifts. So we have a conventional, we have sumo, we have a Romanian deadlift. Another big one that really should be discussed is a trap bar deadlift. Trap bar meaning a specific type of bar. Some people call it a hex bar due to a hexagonal shape. This is that bar that if you've ever seen it in a gym, you're standing within the bar. This allows you to be able to keep a neutral position of the wrist, where the palms are both facing towards each other. This is a very useful tool. Some will say that it is more realistic to how we would move items in life. How we would pick up maybe 2 big 5-gallon jugs, or be able to you again held the handles of a wheelbarrow, or be able to pick up maybe a piece of furniture, because again you're holding it in a more neutral hand position. This bar is a very good teaching tool. I like using it for those who are new to deadlifts, or again just as an accessory type movement. Especially, so I'll use an example for those like being newer to it. I remember I had a client, or I technically still have the client, but I remember earlier on, and when we finally got to we teaching a little bit more of a hinging movement. So we graduated from introducing just a hip hinge, or just trying to teach what a hip hinge was, to a little bit of an RDL, and then I was like, all right, we want to progress his movement. He really wasn't getting the mechanics right, so I used 2 different tools. One is a block pull, which is just again a conventional deadlift raised off of the ground, either by the rack or by literal blocks or boxes. And I use the hex bar, or the trap bar. A lot of trap bars have 2 different handle positions, where if you were to add weight to the bar, or even if you're sitting on the floor, you would tell the difference, because there's 2 handles that are raised higher than the rest of everything, and then there's 2 handles that are at the same level as the bar sleeves themselves. Irregardless of the brand or type of trap bar, they typically will have both of the bar handle placements. So we started with the higher position because it allowed him to have less of a hip hinge, being able to get into the position a little bit more comfortably and teach and build strength from that. In other words, this is kind of like doing a partial range of motion or block pull type deadlift. The goal, of course, was to build strength, but the first real goal, well, I shouldn't say first goal, because of course teaching a movement, but the next goal was to get him to finally go to the lower position. So I lowered him down to the eventual, the handles are in line with the bar itself, or in line with the rest of everything itself. And that is about the same height as a traditional barbell would sit off the floor with regular plates, or I should say bumper plates, sitting off the floor. So then we were able to add real good strength to it. I know there are those who will argue that it is not as it's not a useful tool for hypertrophy or whatever, blah blah blah. Before you continue this episode, let's talk about an amazing opportunity for you. It's our 12-week fitness rehab accelerator. This is going to give you, for 3 months, an awesome opportunity to work with a trainer and a coach who's going to help you with your nutrition and your fitness goals. help you create amazing, healthy, good habits to help improve your sleep, your diet, your exercise, and even help you start managing your stress even better. Why not take this opportunity and run with it? Don't miss out. Click the link in the description and get your journey started. I would say that may be true. But if we are thinking of general population and certain age demographics, the trap bar is a very, very useful tool to be able to get that person who may not have the range of motion yet to get a good, heavy compound movement like a deadlift. So that's the useful thing about a trap bar. It's very user-friendly. It can be used for a wide array of demographics and clientele. Some sport coaches or strength and conditioning coaches will use it for their athletes to do various different versions of a deadlift, like an explosive version where you're jumping with the trap bar and landing back down. And that is, again, another iteration of using this type of bar and this type of exercise as the trap bar. So it is a variety of things you can do with it. Not only that, even if I was to not progress said client, so I'm going to use the same individual who has not yet done a barbell deadlift, I won't ever say he wouldn't ever do a barbell deadlift, but it kind of would be not necessary for him to have to do the barbell. Since I've already gotten him to the height, he could technically do the trap bar at the lower handle height with or without me, because it is going to set him in a position where it's a little bit more safe. What do I mean by that? The trap bar kind of locks you into a position where you're kind of fixated and you have less chances of risking form and technique issues. Because you're stuck inside this bar, you're stuck with the handles that aren't really going to go anywhere. You stand, as long as you keep the thought of just standing straight up and down, or leg pressing the floor away, as said earlier, you're going to be pretty good. Yes, you will be progressing faster with weight, just like you would on a leg press versus a barbell squat. You will progress faster in the weight, so you'll kind of get that thought of like, oh man, I can handle a lot more weight than you would in the traditional barbell. Again, because there's less stability needs. But it's a very useful tool to use to promote that strength, raw strength. So I would encourage this useful tool for a wide array of variations and repetition ranges. You can technically max out on this. It does well with, again, higher repetitions as well, and the medium to low repetitions. It is, again, less systemic fatigue because you're less load bearing to the central nervous system, less load bearing to the stability muscles being used. So again, if you were to use this for, let's say, a sport athlete, they could use it during season, or even let's take the power lifter who wants to deadlift more to just work those specific movements, but doesn't want to accumulate too much fatigue so they still can create enough volume or frequency. Then the trap bar is a useful tool. Now we've talked about 4 different types of deadlifts. There is a wide array of family ones of these, but I want to kind of specify on this next one of a single leg iteration of a deadlift.